Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all on a Sunday afternoon. I, CA Charvi Shah, on behalf of Professional Skill Enrichment Committee ICI, welcome you all participants in today's webcast from tension to teamwork, strengthening interpersonal skills and managing conflict. I welcome today's resource person, CA Manish Goyal sir, and all the participants present over here. CA Manish Goyal sir is a practicing chartered accountant and a partner of AAG and Company Chartered Accountants, New Delhi. He has completed LLB and from Allahabad State University and qualified chartered accountant. He possesses rich professional and experience in statutory audit, internal audit, income tax, GST, and also has practical exposure to the commodity markets, adding depth to his financial understanding. He expresses gratitude for being invited to speak interpersonal skills and conflict management, a subject to believe is a vital for CAs to excel beyond technical proficiency and thrive in today's professional landscape. So with this brief introduction, I welcome you, sir, and now floor is all open for your deliberation. Over to you, sir.
A very warm welcome to each of you joining the webinar today. My name is CA Manish Goyal, and I'm absolutely honored and delighted to be here with you, organized by the Professional Skills Enrichment Committee of ICAI. Before we dive in, I want to acknowledge the exceptional leaders who have made today possible. CA Jay Chaira, Chairman of PSEC ICAI. Sir, your vision for enhancing the soft skills of our profession is truly transformative. CA Abhay Chajad, Vice Chairman of PSEC. Your commitment to our continuous professional development is inspiring. Dr. Sambit Kumar Mishra, who is hosting this webinar, and CA Charmi Shah being moderator. Thank you all for this incredible opportunity. Now, I'm looking at the screen here. I can see we have got CAs from Srinagar to Kanyakumari, from Ahmedabad to Guwahati. We have got practitioners, we have got CFOs, we have got partners from big four firms, and we have also got solo practitioners who are in the big one in their hometowns. We are diverse, we are brilliant, and we all share something in common. We all had that day, you know, the one I'm talking about, the day when your client tells you at 5 p.m. that they need the audit report by tomorrow morning. The day when your team member comes to you in tears because another team members maybe had said something hurtful. The day you are in a board meeting and two directors start arguing about a treatment of a provision and suddenly you are the referee. The day your article assistant quits right before the busy season and you are left wondering if you said something wrong 6 months ago. The day being technically brilliant just wasn't enough. Let me tell you a story. 3 years ago, I was working with a mid-sized CA firm, about 20 partners, maybe 70 staff members, technically brilliant. I mean, these people could recite Indias in their sleep. They could spot misclassification from across the room. Their tax planning strategies were so good that they should have come with the background music. But here is what was happening. The attrition rate was 43% annually. 43%. Their realization rate, the actual fees they collected versus they billed, was hovering around 60% because clients found them difficult to work with. And internally, there were two partners who hadn't spoken to each other in 18 months. 18 months, you can imagine. They communicated through their secretaries in the same office, on the same floor. One day, I just sat in the conference room, you know, the one with the uncomfortable chairs that every CA firm seems to have. And I watched a senior manager reducing a first year CA to tears over a misplaced schedule in an audit file. over a schedule in an audit file. Not fraud, not material misstatement, not anything that would have affect the audit opinion. The schedule that was in a wrong binder. And I thought, we have spent 5 years becoming CAs. We have conquered financial accounting, cost accounting, auditing, tax, laws, everything. We can tell you the difference between a financial asset and a financial liability with our eyes closed. But somehow we never learned how to have a difficult conversation without destroying someone's confidence. Does this sound familiar to any one of you? Here is the truth. Nobody tells you what you are preparing for CA exams. Technically, competence is the entry ticket for this profession. It's the table takers. It's the minimum requirement. But what about interpersonal skills, conflict management, the ability to build teams and navigate human emotions and turn tensions into collaborations? That's what separates the good CAs from the great ones. That's what separates the firm that people fight to join from the firms that people can't wait to leave. Today, we are going to spend next 2 hours talking about something that matters deeply to our career, our practice, our team, our client, and most importantly, our own peace of mind and happiness. We are talking about moving from tension to teamwork. We are talking about interpersonal skills and conflict management for the modern CA. And I promise you, what you learn today will be more valuable than knowing the latest amendment to Section 43B. Because amendments change, but people are forever. Let me start with a question that I want you to think about. Don't worry, not an interactive session. You don't have to answer it loud, but at least ask yourself, how many hours did you spend studying accounting standards during your CA journey? Maybe hundreds, thousands? Now ask yourself, how many hours did you spend learning how to give feedback without demotivating someone? How many hours learning how to disagree with a senior partner without seeming disrespectful? And how many hours learning how to calm down an angry client who just received a tax notice? Exactly. I call this the hidden curriculum of our CA profession. We are phenomenal at teaching the technical stuff. ICAT does an incredible job of ensuring we know our standards, our laws, our frameworks. But people skills, those were supposed to be picked up somehow through trial and error, usually error, that too painful one. Let me paint you a picture of what I call the journey of interpersonal awkwardness. The first stage when we enter is the articleship period. You are young, you are nervous, you are trying to figure out how the coffee machine works and whether it's okay to eat lunch at your desk. Your principal says good morning and you respond with thank you, sir. You are asked to draft an audit observation and you are so terrified of being wrong that you write the 3 paragraphs to say something that could have been said in 3 sentences. A senior asks you to redo something and you take it as a personal attack on your intelligence. And after having our articleship, clearing our CA, we become a qualified chartered. Now, clearing all 3 exams, you are brilliant, you know everything. You are ready to revolutionize the profession. You join a firm and suddenly a client questions your analysis. How dare they? Don't they know you are a CA? You have cleared one of the toughest exams in the country, but you can't say that. So you just send them a passive aggressive email with 17 PDF attachment and CC your senior partner. Amazing. And then in your life, then again you come through a stage three, becoming a senior CA or a manager. Now you have juniors working under you. You remember how it felt when someone was harsh with you. So you decided you are going to be cool boss. You are going to be everyone's friend. Someone makes a mistake, no worries, it's fine. Another mistake, all good. Six mistakes, we all are learning. Suddenly, it's 31st of March and nothing is finalized because you never actually told anyone that their work wasn't up to mark. Next, when you become a partner or a CFO or a leadership, now you are making big decisions. You are dealing with difficult people, difficult clients, difficult stuff, difficult fellow members, difficult board members, and you are in a meeting where someone is actively wrong about an accounting treatment, but they are senior to you, and you don't know how to correct them without causing offense. Or worse, you do correct them, but slow bluntly that you are now their enemy. You lie awake at 2 a.m. thinking, why is this so hard? I can handle a multi core audit, but I can't handle telling my team members that they need to improve their attitude. Found similar? I know it does. Because I have been through every single one of these stages and I have made every mistake in the book. There was one time, I'm embarrassed to even tell you this, but when I was a manager, I had an article clerk who was genuinely struggling. Nice person, hardworking, but just not getting the concepts. And instead of sitting down and actually helping him, instead of having a proper conversation, I just kept giving him lower and lower ratings in his evaluation forms. No feedback, no coaching, just numbers going down. Until one day he came to my cabin and I can still see his face. And he said, "Sir, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Please tell me so that I can know, fix it." And I realized I had failed him completely. Not because I didn't know accounting, but because I didn't know how to have a difficult conversation. That moment changed my career because I realized that technical competence without interpersonal skills is like having a Ferrari with no steering wheels. Powerful, impressive, but ultimately not going to get you where you need to go. So it's really important to understand the interpersonal skills. Most people think interpersonal skills means being friendly, being nice, smiling a lot, being the person everyone likes, and sure, being likable doesn't hurt. But that's not what we are talking about. Interpersonal skills for CAs means having the ability to navigate complexity in relationships while maintaining professional integrity. Let me break down with real examples from our world, from a CA world instead. First, take an example of maybe an aggressive CFO. You are conducting a statutory audit. you are at client's premises and you have found something, maybe it's related party transaction that wasn't disclosed. Maybe it's revenue recognition that's not in line with our NDS 115. You need to raise the observation, but the CFO is intense. The last auditor who questioned something got 30 minutes lecture about understanding business reality and was nearly removed from the engagement. Now, here is what the interpersonal skills is not. It's not backing down because you are scared. It's not quietly qualifying the report and hoping for the best. And it's also not walking into his office and saying, "You have violated India's 115. This needs to be corrected immediately. And if you don't, we'll qualify." No. Interpersonal skills is understanding that this CFO is probably under intense pressure from this board, his promoter, his investors. It's preparing your documentation thoroughly. So you are coming from a position of strength. It's requesting a meeting and beginning with, "I wanted to discuss a technical matter that's come up, and I'm hoping we can work together to find the right solution." It's presenting the issues clearly, referencing the specific standard, explaining the implication, and here is the key: giving them a way to save face. I know the intent wasn't to violate anything. These standards can be complex. Here are three possible approaches we could take. Blah, blah, blah. You are being firm on the technical issue, non negotiable, but you are being flexible and respectful in how you communicate it. Let's take another example, being the underperforming team member. You are a partner and you have got a team member. Let's call him Rohan, who has been in the firm for 3 years. Technically sound, knows his stuff, but his attitude is affecting everyone. He is dismissive with juniors. He misses deadlines and blames others. He negotiates in team members. He is negative. Other team members are starting to complain. Poor interpersonal skills, ignore and hope it gets better, or go to the other extreme. Call him and fire on the spot. But good interpersonal skills response meeting. You have documented specific examples, not vague complaints, but concentrate incidents and with dates. You open with something genuine. "Rohan, I wanted to talk to you because I care about your career here and I am concerned about some things I have been observing." You present the facts without accusations. Last Tuesday in the team meeting, when Priya suggested an approach for the tax assessment, you said, "That's ridiculous," in front of whole team. On Thursday, the client deliverable that was due was submitted 3 days late. I have also heard from two members that they feel hesitant to ask you questions. You pause, you let him respond, you don't interrupt, listen. Maybe he is dealing with something personal. Maybe he doesn't realize how he is coming across. Maybe his legitimate concerns that have been addressed. Then you are clear about expectations and consequences. Here is what needs to change. Here is the support I can offer. Here is the timeline. And here is what happens if things don't improve. Firm? Yes. Clear? Yes. But respectfully, giving him dignity, giving him a chance to improve. Now, let's take an example of a partner disagreement. This is a big one. You are in a partnership and you and another partner fundamentally disagree with the firm's direction. Maybe it's about expanding advisory services. Maybe it's about talking on a questionable client. Maybe it's about profit distribution, and it's getting heated. Meetings are tense. You are both copying other partners on emails to build your case. The staff can feel the tension, and it's affecting morale. The poor interpersonal skills is soft talking, communicate only through formal emails, build alliance with other partners, make it about winning and losing. But good personal skills would be you do something vulnerable. You ask at a meeting, just the two of you, no audience, and you say something like, listen, I think we both want what's best for the firm. I respect you, and I know you respect me. But right now, we are heading towards a place that's not good for either of us or for the firm. Can we take a step back and really listen to each other? You practice what I call disagreeing up. You elevate the conversation to principles and values rather than positions and egos. Let's talk about what we both want for the firm's future. Let's talk about our concerns. Let's see if there is a solution that addresses both our concerns. You see, interpersonal skills isn't about being soft, it's about being effective. It's about getting to good outcomes without destroying relationships in the process. And here is something crucial to our CAs to understand. We are trusted advisors. Our clients, whether internal or external, are bringing us their problems during their most stressful moments. Year end closures, tax assessments, IPO preparations, investigations, restructuring. When people are stressed, they don't always behave well. They have short tempered, demanding, unclear, changing their minds. And our job is to stay steady, stay professional, stay helpful, even when they are not easy to deal with. That's interpersonal skills. That's emotional intelligence. That's the difference between a CA who is technically competent and a CA who is truly excellent. Now let's talk about conflicts, because if interpersonal skills is the everyday navigation, conflict is the storm. And here's the thing about conflict that nobody tells you. Conflicts are normal. Conflict is inevitable. Conflict in many cases is even healthy. Let me say that again because I want this to sink in you. Conflict is healthy. The problem isn't that we have conflicts. The problem is that we are terrible at handling them. In our CA world, we face conflicts constantly. Maybe clients want to capitalize an expense. We know it should have been charged to P&L. Partner wants to accept a risky client. You have a concern about ethical implication. Team member feels they deserve a promotion. You think they need another year. You have quoted a fees for a project. However, client thinks it's too high. Many more. Maybe, your co-partner made a decision without consulting you. Every single one of these is a conflict. And every single one of them can either destroy relationships or strengthen them, depending on how you handle it. So let's understand what conflict is. Actually, there are three levels of conflict. First, task conflict. This is a disagreement about work, how something should be done, what approach to take, what the answer is. Should we use the weighted average method or FIFO? Should we qualify the report or get additional audit evidence? This is actually the healthiest kind of conflict because it's not personal. Two intelligent people can disagree about the best approach, discuss it, maybe even argue about it, and reach a conclusion without anyone feeling attacked. Next, the process conflict. This is disagreement about how work gets done, roles, responsibilities, workflows, decision making authority. Maybe like, why wasn't I included in that meeting? Why did you assign that work without asking me? Who approved this? This is where things start getting more emotional. It's about respect, inclusion, trust. The third one, relationship conflict. This is even when it's more personal. He always undermines me. She doesn't respect me. They think I'm incompetent. I can't stand working with them. This is the most destructive type of conflict because it's no longer about work. It's about egos, personalities, perceived slights, accumulated resentment. And here is what happens in most CA firms, most accounting departments, most our professional lives. We start with conflict one, a genuine disagreement about something technical, but we handle it poorly. We get defensive. We make it about who is getting right and who is rather wrong. We break it on our ego. And before we know it, it is escalated to level three. Let me give you a real life example. I watched this happen in a real time at a firm. There were two managers. Let's call them Amit and Priya. They were working on an audit together. They disagreed about the sample size for testing. Amit thought they needed to test 60 items. However, Priya was like 40 was sufficient based on the risk assessment. That was conflict one. Task based, technical, solvable. But here is how it played out. Amit, who needed to test 60 items, he sent an email CCing the partner saying the sample size should be 60 with a slightly condescending explanation of statistical sampling. Priya felt undermined because he had CC'd the partner. So she responded also CCing the partner with her own explanation, implying what Amit was being unnecessarily conservative and wasting time. Now it's level 2. It's about process and respect. Maybe now the partner said with Amit, Priya felt like Amit had gone behind her back to make her look bad. In the next team meeting, when Amit made a suggestion about something unrelated, Priya visibly rolled her eyes. No, and Amit noticed it. He stopped including her in certain decisions. She stopped contributing in meetings when he was presenting. Now, this is level 3, relationship conflict. And now they can barely work together. All because a technical disagreement about a sample size was handled without interpersonal skills. Here is what should have happened. Amit and Priya had different views on the sample size. Amit says, Hey Priya, I think we might need a larger sample here. Can we discuss? They meet, they share their reasoning, they realize they are making different risk assessments. They review the risk assessment together. They either reach agreement or they decide to escalate to the partner together with both perspective laid out. Problem solved. Relationship intact. Actually, relationship strengthened because they demonstrated they can disagree professionally. Now, each of us have a difficult way of dealing with conflict. We developed these patterns early, probably in childhood, definitely reinforced during articleship, and they are now so automatic that we don't even realize we are doing them. Let me describe the main 5 conflict styles. And as I do, I want you to think about which one sounds most like you. First, avoiding the ostrich. This is like, let's pretend it's isn't happening like approach. Something does something that bothers you, you say nothing. There is tension in meeting, you suddenly become very interested in your laptop. Your two team members are fighting, and you think like, I'm sure they will work it out themselves. A client is unhappy, you just stop returning their calls as promptly. The avoider's motto is, if I ignore it long enough, maybe it will go away. But does it go away? No. It festers, it grows, it becomes resentment. I knew a senior CA, brilliant technical mind, who avoided all conflicts. A client was constantly late with providing documents, making audit impossibly stressful. Did he address it? No. Year after year, same problem. Team members would complain to him. He had not sympathetically and changed the subject. Eventually, two of his best staff members quit because they couldn't handle the client anymore. Only then he did finally have the conversation. But by then, he had lost the staff. When is avoiding okay? When the issue is truly trivial and not worthy the energy. When emotions are too high and everyone needs to cool down. When you need time to gather more information. But as a default style, it's a disaster. Let's talk about style two, the accommodating, the people pleaser. This is the whatever you want approach. Whatever you want. You have an opinion, but someone else has a different opinion, and you don't want to rock the boat. So you just go along. A client asks for something unreasonable. Sure, no problem. A team member wants time off during busy season. Ah, of course, we'll manage. A partner wants to take a questionable position. If you think so, maybe the accommodator's motto here is I just want everyone to be happy. The problem, you end up unhappy. You build resentment, you feel taken advantage of, and worse, people start expecting you to always give in. Your opinions stop mattering because everyone knows you are a call away. I work with the CA. He was such a accommodator that she once let a client defer fees for 18 months. You know, 18 months because the client said they were having cash flow problems. The client's cash flow problems included buying a new luxury car, taking their family to Europe, but she couldn't bring herself to have the conversation about payment. When is accommodating okay? When the relationship is more important than the issue. When you genuinely don't care about the outcomes. When the preserving harmony on small things builds goodwill for bigger battles later. But as a default style, you become a doormat, my dear. Now, talking about competing, this is what I call I'm right, you are wrong, end the discussion. End of discussion. Every disagreement is battle to be won. You are forceful, aggressive, direct, which can be good, but you are also domineering and unwilling to see other perspective. The competitor's motto is my way or the highway. In our profession, my dears, we see this a lot from technically strong CAs who have never learned any other way. They know they are right about accounting treatment. So why should they even listen to anyone else? They are the part. So they are have the final. They have got 20 years of experience. The problem, you leave a trail of damaged relationships. People stop bringing you ideas because you know you will shoot them. Teams fear you rather than respecting you. You might be in the battle, you might win the battle, but you lose the war. I remember a partner, incredible, intelligent, technically flawless, who used this style exclusively. His firm had a 60%. That's huge. Every year, more than half his staff would leave. He couldn't understand. Yes, uh, the last line, style three, the competing wala. All right, okay, I will re-begin with the competing style. The competing style is I am right, you are wrong. End of discussion. I am right and you are wrong. End of discussion approach. You are forceful, you are aggressive, direct. which can be good, but you are also domineering and unwilling to see others' perspective. Here, the competitor's motto is my way or the highway. In our profession, we see this a lot from technically strong CAs who have never learned any other way. They know they are right about the accounting treatment, so they should, why should they listen to anyone else? They are the partners, so their decision is final. They have got 20 years of experience, so what can a junior possibly tell them? Here, the problem is you leave a trail of damaged relationships. People stop bringing you ideas because they know you will shoot them down. Teams fear you rather than respect you. You might win the battle, but you lose the war. There was a partner, he was incredibly intelligent, technically flawless, who used this style. His firm had a 60% staff turnover. 60%. Every year, more than half of his office staff would leave. He couldn't understand why. He just can't handle the pressure. He'd say, no, they can't handle him. They couldn't handle him being told they were idiots, being every time they made mistakes. They couldn't handle working 80 hours a week and being criticized for everything while never hearing a single word of appreciation. When is competing okay? When you are dealing with an ethical issue that's not negotiable, it must be made. You are trying, but as a default style, you become a tyrant. Coming on compromising, this is like let's meet in the middle approach. You want 60, they want 40, so you agree on 50. Everyone gives up something, everyone gets something. The competitor's motto is let's both be a little bit unhappy. This sounds reasonable, right? And sometimes it is. Compromise is often the practical solution. But here is the trap. Sometimes meeting in the middle means both sides lose. Sometimes one side is actually right, and compromising means accepting a suboptimal solution. Suppose take an example. You are negotiating a fees. You quoted 10 lakhs for an audit. Your client wants to pay 60 lakhs, 6 lakhs. You compromise at 8. But your actual cost is actually 9. You have just agreed to lose money to avoid conflict. That's not a win. Or maybe two team members disagree about work allocation. One says they are overworked, the other says they are underutilized. You compromise, when some work from one to the other. But you haven't addressed whether work distribution makes sense, whether expectations are clear, whether there is a deeper issue. When is compromising okay? When both sides have legitimate but competing needs, when is limited. Relationship is more important than either position. But as a default style, you end up with medical solutions. Talking about collaborating. You know, this is the let's find a solution that actually works for everyone approach. Instead of avoiding, giving in, dominating, or splitting the difference, you dig deeper. You ask, what do we actually need driving our positions? Is a creative solution we haven't thought of? The collaborators motto is let's make this work for both of us. This is the gold standard. This is what we are aiming for. But it's also the hardest because it requires time, trust, and genuine effort from both sides. Suppose you are a CFO and your audit committee wants monthly variance analysis reports, but your team is already stressed with avoiding, you just don't provide it. Accommodating is you overwhelm your team to produce it. Competing is you tell the committee it's unreasonable. Compromising is you agree to quarterly instead of monthly. But collaborating, you have a conversation about what the committee is really trying to achieve with these reports. Is it visibly into performance, early warnings of issues, and you explore alternatives? Maybe there is a dashboard that gives them real time data without additional reporting burden. Maybe there is a way to automate part of the analysis. Maybe there is a different format that's easier to produce but still meets their needs. And yes, you have solved the actual problem instead of just managing the conflict. And now, here is the key insight: none of these style is bad. They are tools in your toolkit. The question is, are you choosing the right style for the situation? Or are you just defaulting to your comfortable pattern, regardless of what the situation needs? The best CAs, the best leaders, the best conflict managers, they are flexible. They can adapt their style based on what is needed. All right, now let's get practical. You are facing a conflict. It could be with a client, a colleague, a team member, a partner. What do you actually do? Let me give you a framework that works. I call it Calmer framework. CALMER. Calmer framework. Check yourself before you do anything, before you send that email, before you walk into that meeting, before you say a word, check yourself. What are you feeling? Be honest to yourself. Are you angry, frustrated, hurt, scared, defensive? You need to name it. Because if you don't acknowledge what you are feeling, it's going to leak out in your tone, your words, your body language. I learned this the hard way. I once went into a meeting with a client who had been dismissive of my recommendation for months. I thought I was calm and professional. Turns out with resentment. And within 5 minutes, I had made three passive aggressive comments that made everything worse. So check yourself. And if you are too emotional to have a productive conversation, wait. There is no rule that says you have to respond immediately. I want to give this proper thought. Can we discuss this tomorrow? This is a perfectly acceptable response. Next, assume positive intent. This is massive. Most conflicts escalate because we assume the worst about the other person's motivations. Your partner made a decision without consulting you. You first thought, they don't respect me. They think I'm not important enough to include. Maybe, or maybe they thought it was urgent and didn't want to bother you. Maybe they thought it was in their domain of responsibility. Maybe they simply forgot in the chaos of everything else happening. Your junior made a mistake in the audit file. You first thought they are careless, they don't take these things seriously. Maybe, or maybe they are overwhelmed and afraid to ask for help. Maybe they misunderstood the instruction. Maybe they are dealing with something personal that's affecting their focus. Assuming positive intent doesn't mean being native. It means giving people the benefit of doubt as your starting point. It means asking questions instead of making acquisitions. Instead of, why didn't you consult me? Help me understand the decision making process here. Or instead of, you clearly didn't put any effort into this, right? I noticed some issues with this work. Can we talk about what happened? See the difference. Same concern, completely different energy, right? Listen to understand, not to respond. This is where most of us fail spectacularly. Someone is talking, explaining their side, and what are we doing? We are not listening. We are formulating our rebuttal. We are thinking about what we are going to say next. We are finding flaws in their argument. We are getting ready to defend ourselves. Real listening is hard. Try listening mean no real listening means shutting up internally and externally and actually trying to understand where they are coming from. Here is a technique. After they finish talking, before you respond, summarize what you heard. So what you are saying is XYZ, no, and then let them confirm or correct. This does two things. It ensures you actually understood them and it makes them feel heard, which is half the battle. I watched a master mediator once resolve a bitter dispute between two partners. And you know what he did? For 45 minutes, he just asked questions and summarized. Tell me more about that. How did that make you feel. So, from your perspective, this. He didn't offer solutions, didn't take sides, didn't lecture. He just listened, and something magical happened. The partners started listening to each other too. The anger diffused. They started problem solving together. That's the difference it really makes. Now, make it about the issue, not the person. It's crucial. Attack the problem, not the person. It would be really bad. Like you are always late with the deliverables. In a better way, the last three deliverables have been submitted after the deadline, and it's creating problems to the client. It is bad when you say like you are being difficult and unreasonable. But in a better way, it could have been I'm finding it challenging to find a solution here. Can we explore some options? It's really bad when you say like you don't care about quality. But in a better way, I have noticed several quality issues in recent work. Quality is critical for us, so I want to understand what's happening and how we can address it. Use I statements instead of you accusations. I am concerned about blah blah blah. I have observed this thing. I need to understand this thing. This keeps the focus on the issue and your perspective rather than attacking their character. Now, exploring the solutions together, like once you have both been heard, once you understand each other's perspective, shift to problem solving mode. And here is the key, do it together. It's not like here is what you need to do, but how can we solve this? What would it work for both of us? Invite them into the solution. I am thinking we could try X. What do you think? What would make this work from your end? Are these options I'm not seeing? When the people co create the solution, they are invested in making it work. When you impose the solution, they comply, not at all. Now, reviewing and follow up. Don't just have the conversation and assume everything is fixed. Close the loop. Summarize what you have agreed to. So, just to confirm, you will provide the data by Thursday, and I will prepare the analysis by Monday, and we will present together to the client next one Wednesday. Does that work? And then follow up, check in. How's that new approach working? Have things improved? Don't let it drift back to the old problematic pattern. Let me give you a real life example of this framework in the action. Uh, a few years ago, I was working with a firm where the manager of the audit team and the manager of the tax team were in constant conflict. The audit team would intensify tax issues during audits, and they felt the tax team was dismissive and slow to respond. The tax team felt the audit team was dumping last minute work on them, without proper context and then blaming them when things weren't instantly resolved. This had been going on for 2 years. Passive aggressive emails, complaints to the partners, the staff were choosing sides. It was toxic. Finally, one of the partners brought them together, both the teams, and facilitated a conversation using this framework. Check yourself. Both admitted they were frustrated and feeling disrespected. Just naming that helped. Assume positive intent. The audit manager realized the tax team wasn't being dismissive. They were genuinely overwhelmed and needed better information for help. The tax manager realized the audit team wasn't trying to dump work. They were under pressure from clients and audit deadlines. They listened. For the first time, they actually explained their workflows, their pressures, their constraints. The audit manager learned that that tax issues flagged on March 29th for a March 31st deadline were impossible to address properly. The tax manager learned that some tax issues only become apparent late in the audit process because of how information emerged. They stopped talking about each other's failing and started talking about the workflow problem. They explored solutions together. They designed a new process, actually, weekly coordination meetings, a shared checklist of common tax issues that audit teams could flag early, a protocol of truly urgent issues versus the routine work, better templates for communicating tax matters to client, and they reviewed. They committed to trying it for one busy season and reassessing. The result, not perfect, but dramatically better. The tension eased, the actual work got easier, and they developed genuine respect for each other. All because someone facilitated them through a structured conflict resolution process. That's the power of team discussion. Now let's talk about the conversations that keep you up at night. The ones you rehearse in the showers, the ones you postpone for weeks or months, the really difficult conversations. As CAs, we face several categories of this. Maybe performance issues. Your work isn't meeting standards. You are getting ready for promotions. If things don't improve, we'll have to let you go. Behavioral issues. Your attitude is affecting the team. The way you spoke to the client was inappropriate. The way they have been complaining about you, your behavior. And the third is ethical concerns. I can't support this accounting treatment. I am not comfortable taking to on this client. What you are asking me to do raises ethical issues. And the last, financial or business tensions. Like we need to discuss our compensations. The fees you are expecting aren't aligned with the values delivered. We need to talk about you leaving the firm partnership. These conversations are scary because the stakes are high. someone's career, someone's livelihood, someone's professional relationships, your own reputation. It all hangs in the balance. So let me give you a structure for this high stakes conversations. Step one, there are 7 steps. For the step one, don't wing it. Don't see how it goes. Don't rely on your ability to think on your feet. These conversations are too important. Prepare thoroughly. Write down the specific facts and examples, dates, incidents, data, the impact of the issue on work, on team, on clients, on firm. What you need to say, your non negotiables, especially. What outcomes you are hoping for, what questions they might ask, and how you will respond, how you will handle, various emotional reactions. I know a senior partner who actually scripts out difficult conversations word by word, not because she is going to read from a script, but because the process of writing forces clarity. And when emotions run high in the actual conversation, she has mental anchors to return to. Next, choose the right setting: private, face to face when possible. Yes, even in the Zoom era, video is better than phone or email for difficult conversation. Enough time so you are not rushed. A neutral location if possible, not towering over them from behind your desk. And here is something people forget: timing matters. Don't ever have a conversation difficult right before a weekend if you can avoid it. They will stew over it for 2 days with no chance to follow up. Don't do it right before a major deadline when emotions are already high. Don't do it when you are exhausted or angry. Open with clarity and compassion. Rahul, I wanted to talk with you about something important. And it's not an easy conversation for me to have. But I care about your development and your working. So I want to be direct with you. You are signaling this is serious. This is difficult for me too. I am daring this because I care. Then get to it. Don't bury the lead under 10 minutes of a small talk. Don't be so indirect that they don't understand the gravity. Over the past 3 months, I have observed several concerns about your work quality, and I want to work and discuss them with you. Clear, specific, not harsh, but not vague. Present facts, not judgments. This is huge. Facts are observable and verifiable. Judgments are your interpretations. A judgment is you are lazy and you don't care about the work. However, a fact is in the last month, 3 deliverables were submitted after the deadline without prior communication, and 2 contained error that the client flagged. Judgment is you have a bad attitude. However, fact is in yesterday's team meeting, When Priya suggested an alternative approach, you said that's stupid and then refused to engage further. Judgment is you are not partner material. Fact, partnership requires leading client relationships and developing new business. In the past 2 years, you haven't led any client pitches or brought in new clients, which is key partnership criterion. See the difference? Facts are harder to dispute, judgments trigger defensiveness. Listen to their side. This is the step most people skip because they are so focused on delivering their message. But it's critical. I have shared my perspective. I want to hear yours. Help me understand what's been happening from your point of view. And then shut up. Let them talk. They might have explanations you haven't considered. They might have context you didn't know about. They might be dealing with personal issues, health issues, family crisis. This doesn't mean you abandon your concerns, but it means you gather complete information before deciding on next steps. Collaborate on solutions for performance and behavioral issues. Involve them in the solutions when possible. Here is what needs to change. What support do you need from me to make that happen? What would help you meet these expectations? What's a reasonable timeline for us to see the improvement? For ethical issues or terminations, there might not be room for collaboration on the outcome, but you can still approach it with respect. I understand this is disappointing. Let's talk about how we can make this transition as smooth as possible. No. Next, document and follow through. After the conversation, send a summary email. No, not as a gotcha, but as a confirmation. Thanks for the conversation today. As we discussed, the key points were blah blah blah. The action steps were maybe XYZ. We will review progress on this date. Please let me know if I have missed anything. This protects everyone. It ensures you are both on the same page. And if the things don't improve, you have documentation. Let me tell you about the worst difficult conversation I ever had and what I learned from it. I was a senior manager and I had to terminate an articled clerk. He was 4 months into his training and it just wasn't working. I had been counseled multiple times. I counseled him about the same issues. He missed deadlines, poor work quality, lack of attention to details. I had given him extra training, paired him with different seniors, tried everything I could have think of. Finally, the partner told me to no, it's time to let him go, and I was dreading it. This was someone's career, someone's dream to become a chartered accountant, someone who will be already invested. He has in clearing exams. I prepared for the conversation. I had all my documentation. I chose a private time and place, and then I chickened out. Instead of being direct, I eased into it. I talked about how hard the profession is, the I mentioned that it's not for everyone. I said maybe he should think about whether this is really what he wants to do. I was so indirect that 15 minutes into the conversation, he still thought I was giving him a motivational pep talk. Finally, he said, "Don't worry, sir, I will work harder, I promise." And I had to say, "No, I'm not saying you need to work harder. I am saying we have decided to end your articleship." The look on his face, the confusion, the shock, it was so awful. And it was my fault for not being clear from the beginning. He left that meeting feeling ambushed, humiliated, angry, and I left it feeling like I had handled it in the worst possible manner. What I learned, kindness is not the same as being indirect. True kindness is difficult conversation, is being clear, being respectful, and giving someone the dignity of honesty. Beating around the bush isn't kind, it's cowardly. It's it prolongs its anxiety, it robs them of clarity. So building a culture of healthy conflict is necessary. Let's zoom out from individual conversation and talk about creating an environment where conflict is handled well, whether you're a partner in a firm, a CFO leading a team, or a senior manager influencing your sphere. Because here is the thing, if you are in a leadership position, your team is watching how you handle conflicts. You are learning from them and they are learning from you. If you avoid conflict, they will avoid conflict. If you will handle conflict with aggression, they will become aggressive or they will become timid. You are setting the template. So, how do you build a culture where healthy conflict is normalized? Make expectations explicit. Don't assume people know how to disagree professionally. Teach it. In team meetings, say things like, "I want to hear different perspective on this. If you disagree with something, please say so." That's how we make better decisions. And when someone disagrees with you, model the response you want. That's a good point. I hadn't thought about it that way. Let me consider that. When someone disagrees poorly, interrupting, dismissing, being rude, address it. Hold on. Let's make sure we are hearing each other out. Ria, finish your thoughts first. Next, reward constructive dissent. Think about this. In your organization, what gets rewarded? Agreement or thoughtful disagreement? If someone questions a decision in a meeting and they get shut down or punished for it, guess what? Nobody will question decisions anymore. You will get groupthink. You will make worse decisions. And when things go wrong, people say, "I knew that wouldn't work," instead of having said something when it mattered. So, reward people who raise concerns thoughtfully. Thank you for flagging that. That's exactly the kind of thinking we need. Even if you ultimately disagree with their concern, acknowledge the value of them raising it. Next, Always create safe spaces for difficult discussions. Regular one-on-ones, team retrospectives, ask me anything sessions, feedback forums. These are structured opportunities for people to raise issues before they become crises. In one-on-ones, ask, what is something that's frustrating you right now? What's one thing we could do better as a team? Is there anything I'm doing that's making your job harder? Make it safe to tell you the truth. And when someone does, don't get defensive. Thank them. Act on it when you can. Explain when you can't. Always address issues early. Don't let things fester. The longer a conflict goes unaddressed, the worse it gets. If you notice tension between two team members, intervene. I have noticed some friction between you two. Let's talk about it. If a client interaction were badly, debrief it. That meeting was tense. Let's unpack what happened and how we can handle it better next time. If someone's behavior is problematic, address it the first time, not the 15th time. Early intervention is so much easier than crisis management. Admit your own mistakes, always. Accept it. This is powerful. When you mess up conflict situation, own it. I handled today's meeting. I got defensive when I should have listened. I apologize. Looking back at how I have got feedback last week, I gave feedback last week. I was too harsh. I should have focused on the work, not made it personal. I am sorry. This thing no makes two differences. It repairs the relationship and it shows that acknowledging mistakes is okay. It gives permission for others to do the same. Talking about client conflicts, we have been talking about no mostly about internal conflicts with colleagues, team members, partners. But let's talk about client conflicts because these come with special challenges. With a colleague, you can be direct because they are shapes and mutual commitment. With a client, you have to balance assertiveness with the reality paying you and could fire you. So let's talk about the most common client conflicts and how to handle them. First, fees negotiation. Like your fees are too high. This is the most common. This is the one that makes every CA's stomach sink. You have quoted fees and the client pushes back hard. That's outrageous. The previous auditor charged half that. We can't afford this. In this, the poor ones would be like, you drop your fees by 30% because you are scared of losing the client. But in a better good fees are a concern. Let's walk you what goes into this estimate. The scope, the complexity, the team experience required, the timeline. I want to make sure we are aligned on what's included. Don't defend your sensibly, well confidently. Be willing to adjust scope or if it don't work. Next, Technical opinion disagreement. You have told them a cost should be expensed. They want to capitalize it. You have said a provision is required. They think it's unnecessary. You have flagged a relation disorder. They think immaterial. Clear. You take on meets interpersonal skills. The poor response would be like, I am the CA. I know better. Just do what I say. Even if you are right, you have damaged your relationships. But in a better response, it could have been like, I understand this isn't the answer you were hoping for. Let me explain my reasoning. Explain with reference to specific standards, maybe principles, regulatory requirements. No? I have shown you the technical basis. If you have alternative analysis of precedents, I'm happy to review them. But based on current facts and applicable standards, this is my professional position. If you want to get a second opinion, I completely understand. But I need to be clear. If we proceed differently than what I am recommending, I will need to address that in my report or opinion. That's firm, professional, not personal, and clear about consequences. Right? Next comes process and timeline issues. The client is frustrated. Why do you need all this documentation? Why is this taking so long? You are being too thorough. Our previous auditor just trusted us. You know, Here the poor response would be like, fine, I will just keep those precedents. Hello, the liability. In a better way, you could have response like, I understand you want this completely quickly. I want that too, but my professional responsibilities require me to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. That's not optional. It's what ensures the audit is credible and protects everyone. What I can do is prioritize the most critical items first, work more efficiently on your end, or help your team understand what we need so they can prepare it more quickly. But I can't compromise on the fundamentals of quality audit. You are emphasizing with their concern and while holding your professional boundary. Next comes managing threats and pressures. This is the nuclear option. The client is unhappy and threatening your reputation. We are going to report you, leave a bad review, tell everyone not to work with you. No. The poor response would be like, you get panic, cave completely to their demands, or go to the other extreme and get aggressive. Go ahead and try. But in a better response, you should stay calm. I am sorry you are unhappy. I want to understand your concerns fully so we can address them and listen them. Really listen them. And then here is what I can do to address your concerns. Like offer reasonable solutions. But here is what I can't do and why. Explain your reasons, hold your boundaries. I have tried to work with you in good faith, and I hope we can find a resolution. But I also need to be clear. I have professional and ethical obligations that I cannot compromise. Document everything. If they are threatening, you want a paper trail. Stay professional in all written communication. Assume everything could be read by a court or regulatory body someday. And sometimes you have to let a client go. Not every client relationship is worth saving. Emotional intelligence, we have been dancing around this concept throughout, but let's address it directly. This is the foundation, skill that makes everything else possible. You can know all the conflict frameworks in the world, but if you lack emotional intelligence, you will still handle situations poorly. It has four components, self awareness, self management, relationship management. I think it's repeated twice, self awareness. Talking about first self awareness, this is knowing your emotions, triggers, patterns, and biases. Do you know what makes you defensive? For me, it's when someone questions my technical competence. That's my trigger. When someone suggests I might be wrong about an accounting treatment, my instinct is to get defensive and to double down. Knowing that about myself means I can catch myself. Wait, I'm getting defensive. Let me actually consider whether they might have a point. What makes you anxious? What makes you angry? What situations do you avoid? When do you tend to overreact or underreact? The more you understand your own emotional landscape, the better you navigate it. Self management. This is controlling your emotional reaction so they serve you rather than sabotage you. You are in a meeting and someone dismisses your idea in a condescending way. Your instinct might be to snap back. Self management is to pause button. It's the ability to feel the anger, acknowledge it, and choose how to respond rather than just reacting. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions. That's unhealthy and unsustainable. It means regulating them. I'm feeling angry right now. That's valid. But snapping back isn't going to help. That is what's more effective response. Techniques that might help you in this is like take a tactical pause, count to three before responding, have a tactical breathe, uh, deep breathe, release tensions, tactical delay, maybe like let me think about that and get back to you, or reframing it like what would I advise someone else to do in this situation. No, when you are talking to your team member and they say I am fine, but their body language says they are definitely not fine, you can pick up from that. When you are in a client meeting and the CFO keeps glancing at the CEO before answering your questions, can you sense the power of dynamic and adjust your approach? When your partner is stressed and short tempered, can you recognize that it's not about you and not to take it personally? This is empathy in action. It's paying attention not just to words, but to tone, body language, context, what's not being said. Read between the lines. Relationship management. No, this is using your awareness of emotions yours and others, to navigate relationships effectively. You know your colleagues is stressed about a deadline, so you offer help rather than adding to their plate right now. You recognize a client is anxious about the first audit, so you take extra time to explain the process. You notice tensions in your team, so you create pause to address it rather than ignoring it. Here is the thing about emotional intelligence, it's not fixed, you can develop it. It's like a muscle you strengthen, and you strengthen it through practice and attention. Just a minute. Huh? There are practical ways to build your emotional intelligence. Like the first practice you can have is the daily reflection. At the end of each day, spend 5 minutes reflecting on you, like what situations triggered most strong emotions in me today. How did I handle them? What would I do differently? What did I notice about others' emotion? This builds self awareness over time. Second practice you can have is like empathy exercise. When you are in a conflict with someone, try this. Write out their perspective as if you were them. Really try to get rid into their head. What are they feeling? What are they worried about? What do they need? This builds social awareness and makes it harder to villainize people. Third, that feedback loop. Ask people you trust. How do I come across when I am stressed? What's something I do that affects the team negatively? When do you see me at my best? And their answers might surprise you. They will give you insight about your blind spots. And the emotioning naming. When you feel something is strong, name it specifically. Not just I'm upset, but I am feeling disrespected, or like I am feeling anxious about disappointing this client, or I am feeling jealous that my colleague got recognition. The more precisely you can name emotion, the better you can manage it. Always prevention is better than cure. You know, because the truth is, most conflicts are unpredictable. They arise from the same root causes over and over. Maybe the first is like unclear expectation, or clarify your expectation. I thought you were going to handle that. I know that was my responsibility. I assumed we had discussed major decisions together. How many conflicts could be prevented if we just got crystal clear on expectations from the beginning? When you start a new engagement, what's the scope? What's the timeline? Who is responsible for what? How will we communicate? What's the decision making process? What's the success going to look like? When someone joins your team, what are the expectations from their role? How will they evaluated? How will will be evaluated? Rather, what's the workflow? What's the autonomy they have? And when you enter a partnership, like how are decisions made, how are profits shared, what happens if someone wants to leave, and how do we handle disagreements? Document it, discuss it, revisit it regularly. Poor communication, we really need to improve our communication. So many conflicts come down to nobody told me, or I didn't understand, or I thought you might meant something else. The prevention strategies like confirm understanding, just to make sure you are on the same page. You will do X by Y, and I will do Z, correct? Or use multiple channels. Important message, say it in the meeting and follow up in writing. Or like create feedback loops. Like, does this make sense? What questions do you have? Is there anything unclear? Improve your communications. Next comes address small issues early. That thing that bothered you last week, and then it happened again this week, and you still didn't say anything. Guess what? It's going to happen next week too. And eventually, you are going to explode over something seemingly minor because the accumulated frustration of 20 minor incidents. Next comes align values and goals. Sometimes conflict persists because fundamentally people are different. They want different things. One partner might want to grow the firm aggressively. Another might want to maintain work-life balance. One team member values precision and thoroughness. Another values speed and efficiency. One client prioritizes compliance. Their CEO prioritizes minimizing costs. So there could be a difference. We really need to align our values and goals. It's really important for us. Next comes the managing your own personal stress. Here is something we need to talk about. Honestly, our profession is stressful. Crazy deadlines, demanding clients, regulatory pressures, long hours, high stakes, and stressed people handle conflicts poorly. When you are exhausted, your emotional reputation goes out the window. When you are overwhelmed, you have no patience. And when you are anxious, you overreact to even a small things. So, part of managing conflict effectively is managing yourself. Learn to say no. The strategic no. You cannot do everything. You cannot serve every client. You cannot attend every meeting. You cannot be available 24/7. Every time you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else, often your own sanity. Recovery rituals, you are going to have intense periods. That's the profession. But you need recovery rituals, things that help you decompress and recharge. For some people, it's exercise. For others, it's time with family. It's hobby that has nothing to do with numbers. The support system. Don't try to handle everything alone. Have people you can talk to, peers who understand the profession, mentors who have through what you are doing going through, friends who can give you perspective, professional help. Sometimes stress crosses into something more serious, like your anxiety, depression, burnout, if that's happening, get professional help, my dear. Talk to your counselor, therapist. There is no shame in this. You wouldn't hesitate to see a doctor for a physical health issues, right? Mental health is no different. The perspective check. When you are in the middle of a stressful situation, everything feels like a crisis. Practice zooming out. Will this matter in a year? In 5 years? Is this actually a catastrophe? Or is it just unpleasant? Interpersonal skills, you really need a toolkit. Like we have covered a lot on ground. Now I want to give you some specific tactical tools that you can start using immediately. Think of this as your interpersonal skills first aid kit. First, the transition statements. This is a phrase you use to shift from casual conversation to a difficult topic or from one topic to another when there is a tension. Like, I want to shift gears and talk about something important. Can I bring up something that's been on my mind? I need to address something difficult. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. This signals, to the other person that conversation is changing tone, giving them a moment to adjust mentally. The next is non-defensive response. Like when someone criticizes you or challenges you, your instinct is to defend yourself. Instead, try these responses like, tell me more about that. Help me understand your concerns. What specifically could I do differently? I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. No, these responses keep the conversation open instead of shutting it down. Next, the genuine apology. When you messes up, a real apology has three parts. Acknowledge what you did. I spoke to you harshly in that meeting. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge the impact that was unprofessional and probably embarrassing for you. State what you will do differently. Like, I am going to be more mindful of how I give feedback, especially in front of others. What not to do. I am sorry if you felt hurt. That's not an apology, it's dismissive. Or, I am sorry, but you also this. That's also not an apology. It's blame shifting. Accept it whenever you are wrong. The broken record, when you need to hold a boundary and someone keeps pushing, calmly repeat your position. Like a client might have said, like, but you can just overlook these small issues. You are like, I understand your frustration, but I need to address this issue in my report. The client is like, come on, it's not material. But you say, like, I hear you. I understand this is inconvenient, but I need to address this issue. Client might be like, you are being unreasonable. But you should be like, I know you are unhappy, but my professional obligation requires me to address this issue. Don't escalate. Don't get emotional. Just calmly repeat. The strategic silence. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just shut up. Reframing. Take what they said and reframe it in a more productive way. They say, you never listen to my ideas. You reframe. It sounds like you feel your ideas haven't been given enough consideration. Let's talk about how we can improve that. You know, reframing also works. Next, preemptive strike. When you know something is going to be contentious, address it. Address it upfront. I know this recommendation isn't what you wanted to hear, but here is my reasoning. This is going to be a difficult conversation, and I have been putting it off, but we need to talk about. This lowers defensiveness because you have acknowledged the difficulty. The agreement frame. Start with what you agree before addressing disagreement. I agree, I agree that speed is important. Where I differ is what we are willing to sacrifice to get there faster. This creates a foundation of common ground before exploring differences. The empathy statements, like before presenting your position, acknowledge theirs. I understand, I understand this puts you in a difficult position with your board. I recognize this is not the advice you wanted. I can see this is frustrating for you. This doesn't mean you are abandoning your position. It means you are showing you are showing you understand their reality. The future focus. Like, when you are stuck rehashing the past, shift to the future. I think we are both clear on what happened. The question now is, how do we move forward? We can't challenge the past. What we can control is what we do next. Right. Now, I know what you are thinking. These sound great in theory, but in the moment, I am not going to remember all this. You are right. You won't. Not at first. But here is what you do: pick up any two tools from the list, just two, the ones that resonate most with your current challenges. Practice them, use them intentionally for the next month. They will start to become neutral. Then pick two more, and so on. Uh, we have many slides left, but since there is a time constraint with us, the last 10 minutes are left. I think Charmi ma'am, can we extend the session for 15 minutes if possible? Uh, since the time is a constraint, the last 10 minutes are left. I was just wondering if we can extend the session for extra 15 minutes if possible.
No, we can only do till 2 o'clock.
Okay, okay. So I will just have to cut off few slides so that it is, we have since 5 minutes left. Will it work?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you. I'll just jump to the practical action plans. What we can do to have our conflict management. I'll just keep it crisp and short. Uh, like I just want to leave with you something concrete, an action plan you can implement. Maybe starting tomorrow. Like for this week, you can have identify your conflict style. Think about your last three conflicts and how did you handle them? What's your default pattern? Be honest with yourself. Pick your two tool From the toolkit I shared, choose any two techniques and practice this week. And have one conversation you have been avoiding. Like, the one it's been hanging over you. Use the karma framework and just do it. For this month, you try to have solicit feedback. Ask three people you trust. How do I come across in difficult situations? What's one thing I could improve in how I handle conflict? Document your expectations. Pick one relationship with a team member, a client, a partner, and get crystal clear on expectations. Have the conversation and confirm in writing. Address one small issue before it becomes big. That minor irritant, that small tension, deal with it now while it's still small. For the quarter, invest in training, whether it's a course on emotional intelligence, a book on difficult conversation, coaching, anything. Invest in developing these skills deliberately. Create a feedback loop. Implement regular check ins with your team or colleagues where surfacing concerns is expected and normal. Review your conflicts. At the end of the quarter, review what conflict did I face? How did I handle them? What worked? What would I do differently? And for the year, become a conflict mentor. Help others develop these skills. Share what you are learning. Model healthy conflict management. Transform one difficult relationship. Pick a person, one person you have ongoing tension, and commit to improving that relationship over the year. Measure the impact. How has your conflict management affected your team morale, client satisfaction, your own stress levels, your professional reputation? Measure it. Now, I know some of you are thinking that sounds like a lot of work on the top of everything else I have to do. Yes, it is a work, but so is dealing with the fallout from poorly handled conflicts. So is the stress of avoiding difficult conversations. So is the turnover from toxic environments. So is the damaged client relationships. You are going to spend time and energy on this either way. The question is, are you going to invest it proactively in building skills and healthy patterns? Or are you going to spend it reactively doing damage control? I have done both. I can tell you the former is much less painful. We have concerned a tremendous amount today. We have covered it tremendous amount today, from understanding interpersonal skills to conflict styles to difficult conversations. Uh, Manish, I can provide you with this PPT so that it could have been shared with the participants so that they would have a much deeper insights. So, few takeaways from this session could be like the conflict is normal and conflict is healthy. Choose your conflict style wisely. Practice the karma framework. Emotional intelligence is foundational, and progress over perfection. Always remember, technical competence is table stakes. You have to have your interpersonal skills separate to make you great from good. You can transform tensions into teamwork, and it's never too late to improve.
So we have a question right now from the participant.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh, the question is, are there any working manuals you would recommend us to record and practice the techniques?
There is no anything as such manual, but there are books available which would help you to have the emotional intelligence. Like, how would you able to do it? Because I have covered the topics or the conflicts which are specific to our CA profession, but in your own personal life to become a great, no, good person, to enrich your own personality, those books would definitely help you with.
Okay, sir. So is this the end of the session from your end?
Yes, ma'am. This is the end from my session, from my end. Uh, Due to time constraint, I had to cut short few slides, but I think I had covered almost 90% of it.
Thank you so much, sir. It has been such an honor to be part of this wonderful webcast, from tension to teamwork, strengthening interpersonal skills and managing conflict, organized by the Professional Skill Enrichment Committee ICI. So, on behalf of the committee ICI, I extend a heartfelt gratitude to our speaker, CM Manish Goyal, sir, for his enlightening session. And a wild round of applause and thanks to the organizer, PSCC Committee ICI, and our speaker, CM Manish Goyal, and all the participants who made this webcast a memorable one. So, finally, we would like to thank all of you present here and helping us to make this webcast a grand success. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank thank you so much.